faces and get some publicity on our team this year, but it's an exciting group, so start with that.
All right, fire away.
We will start with that. What has you most excited about this particular team?
You know, I finally have a group of seniors I've had for 4 years. I feel like they've sort of taken on my personality, and I've taken on theirs as well. So it's just a really great group. We're more of a veteran team this year. We have 8 seniors and 4 juniors that are returning. So big bulk of what our starting lineup will be. Just great leadership, great chemistry. Culture's been amazing. So you know, just excited about this particular group.
Can you elaborate on you taking on their personality? What does that mean? I like that.
Well, I think as a coach, you're always changing your ways in somewhat. I mean, you obviously have your philosophies, but at the same time, it's going to change based on the personalities of your team. And I love this group because they're not only just fun to be around, but their work ethic has been tremendous. And you know, it's definitely been something that we've been working on with this, you know, since I've been here, is just kind of understanding what it takes, not just at practice every day, but before and after, all the extra hours that they're spending. And so there's not a day that I show up that there's not already 10 or 12 girls already out there hitting and doing what they need to do, you know, behind the scenes to just take care of business. And, you know, I think that work ethic that they have, and hopefully something that I instilled in them 3-4 years ago, is really finally paying off.
You mentioned leadership too, and then you just talked about a group of 10 or 12. Can your leadership be that big, or is it just 2 or 3, or can you just take us through that?
It is that big.
Yeah.
You know, with 8 seniors and 7 of them that I've had now for 4 years is pretty significant. I typically vote on captains in the fall, and I sat down with this group and talked about doing that, and they came to me and thought that the senior class wanted to take on the leadership responsibility as a whole and not necessarily designate 2 or 3 players. So again, it's a first for me. It's just part of being a coach. Sometimes you just have to change your ways and, you know, do what's best for your team and what their personality is that year.
You don't have to replace too much, but you do have to replace players at a couple of pivotal defensive positions in shortstop and center field. Just what's the process been like of trying to get people acclimated to playing in those roles?
I don't think, you know, I think the players that we've had that graduated in the past have done a tremendous job for us in their roles, but, you know, as a coach, it's your job to always go and recruit better than what you have, and I think that we've done that. You know, we're replacing Haley Harper with Haley Kripe this year at shortstop. She'll be a sophomore for us. A tremendous leader on and off the field, just great work ethic, just a super blue-collar kid that's brings a lot of talent, a lot of leadership to our group. And then Angela Price will probably be our starting center fielder this year. She's a senior and a young lady that's had a lot of adversity in her life for the last 3 years, and just super gritty and excited to kind of take on finally a starting role and be healthy. She hasn't been healthy for us, and she's coming in with that this year. So I just think, you know, we got a group that's playing with a chip on their shoulder right now. They're tired of losing. They want to be good, and man, I want to be driving that bus.
Coach, when you have so many returning seniors and a lot of returning manpower coming off the best season in years, how much excitement does that add to the team? Do you sense more around them this time of year?
I think that we're still feeling the end of last season. You know, we had so many, you know, with returning so many of them. I think the way we finished our season last year just really left just a grittiness inside of them to want to keep playing. When we left this summer and parted our ways and they all went home, to be real honest, this summer was a game changer for some of them because they were committed to staying here and working in the weight room, working in the off season. We've had a great fall. We're healthy, and that's probably the most exciting piece right now is they're looking around each other and they know that we're finally too deep in every position. That's solid. We don't drop off. If somebody gets hurt, we have to make a change. It's not something that's significant. So, you know, we have 4 freshmen in our group this year that are great athletes. So they bring a lot to the table. You know, freshmen are still freshmen. They have that 1 year of experience, so they just have to grow. But they're definitely players that are going to be pretty instrumental for us moving forward.
Coach, you mentioned those 8 seniors and that experience coming back. How does having that leadership when you go on the road into tough places like Texas, Oklahoma, OSU kind of help you and feel more confident going, you know, into those tougher environments?
Well, I personally think the pain of some of our tough losses that we had last season. You know, we were at Texas last year, and we won that first game, which was super exciting for them. Game 2, they kicked us, and then game 3, we had the game right in our hands. And you know, it's a game we should have won. I think we look back at some of those and we're like, we should have won that game. And so I guess when I say a year of just some painful experiences, that's one that probably haunts us a little bit. That I think those are growing pains. And so one of the things that we've really been emphasizing, I know I have for the last couple of years, is just how important preseason tournaments are too. Because sometimes, you know, those teams can kind of sneak up and haunt you in the end when it comes to the committee making decisions for getting into postseason or not. You know, every game matters. Every inning matters, every game matters. And so when you play in a team that's not necessarily a top 25 team, and sometimes you probably think you might could pitch your 3rd or 4th string pitcher, those are games you got to win. And I think those are the realities sitting in with some of my players now. Like, we have to, every game is a must win for us.
What are the main areas that you've been focusing on in terms of getting better production at the plate? I know you said that was a key area, but what have you and your staff like focusing on there?
It's definitely something that Coach Willigman, he oversees our offense. He's done a tremendous job for us this summer, just kind of digging in and trying to reflect back on last season, because we quite honestly just left too many runners in scoring position, didn't get the RBI production that we needed. So that's been a major focus for us this fall. It's just quality at bats. I think I don't know what the exact percentage and number is on how many fly balls we had last season, but trying to just create more run production and just getting more hard hits and ground balls. You know, something that's changed, the game's always changing, but the compression of our ball has changed this year, which means that it's not going to travel quite as far as the ball has in the past. So can't live and die by the home run ball, and you know, we're not necessarily built that kind of team anyway. So just learning how to be more, you know, gap ball hitters for the most part, being able to be an offensive threat when we have runners in scoring position. And if I were to reflect back on last season, that's the main thing that probably sticks back in my mind, is just how many runners we probably left at 2nd and 3rd, and you know, game-winning hits that we left on the base. So
If you had to send one player to a conference or a convention that represented, this player represents your team, her personality, her play, all that stuff, is there one that stands out to you?
Yeah. There's a few.
Yeah,
But
I figured.
one specifically, I would probably say Haley Kripe. She's a sophomore, just really up-and-coming kid that I think has a ability to potentially be an All-American here at Kansas. I mean, she's just incredibly talented, and she's got the right mentality. She's right mindset. I mean, she's just a workhorse. And so, you know, coming in as a shortstop is kind of like the quarterback of your team. It's an extension of me out there, and it's the way I feel. It's the way I played. I was a shortstop, so I always felt like, you know, you have to have, you know, your greatest leaders in those positions, and she's by far one of the best for us.
You've mentioned a few names. I wondered, are there some under the radar names that, hey, if they come through, it's going to take you really to another level?
Definitely. I mean, you know, I think Olivia Bruno's kind of somebody that I think of in that position. She had a really outstanding freshman year, and then sort of somewhat went through that sophomore slump last year, and just probably didn't have quite the year that she was expecting. But she's a game changer. She's strong, she's powerful, she's incredibly fit. She's just got to be a kid that trusts herself and believes in herself for the most part, but she could be a game changer for us. And the other one is really Casey Hamilton. There's no doubt that Casey Hamilton is also one of our big leaders of our team. She's been here for 3 years, and I knew when I recruited her 3 years ago that she was so competitive, and she's a tremendous athlete. And I think just the mentality that she has going into her senior year is right where it needs to be. She's in great shape. She's ready to take the ball and take the lead for this team, so I'm excited for her.
I wanted to ask you about a role for Sarah Rozak too. At Free State, obviously, so many of those things
Sure.
you just mentioned: leader, work ethic, shortstop, all those things. What do you see her role being this year and maybe even beyond?
I mean, I think Sarah Rozak, you know, everybody loves Sarah Rozak. She's from Lawrence, Kansas, and nobody wants to see her be more successful than I do. I mean, she's just a tremendous young lady on and off the field for us. She's a great representation of everything that I believe in. But she struggled a little bit offensively last year, so she's really worked hard. Again, she's a kid who's been around a lot to get in the weight room and get after it. So I just think her confidence piece is going to be a game changer for her. I mean, she's still playing second base for us and has a chance to truly be in our everyday starting lineup.
Could you just talk about the importance of retaining players, running it back, and then beyond that, what's the message for this team for this season?
You know, the message is that you never know what tomorrow brings. I mean, you got to play every game, every inning like it's your last. And I think having 8 seniors, that's our mentality going to this season. Is they're tired. They don't want to. They want to leave this program better than they found it. That's the message, and that's our main goal. And it's one thing we talk about every day, and is getting into postseason. And it's not that as a coach that you don't ever want to sell your team short and not talk about getting to the World Series, but you just got to get to the dance, and once you get there, anything can happen. And that's quite honestly what I'm preaching to them every day, is just finding a way to get there, get to postseason, and let all the chips fall as they may fall. But we got to take care of business, you know, one weekend at a time right now, as we're getting ready to go on the road for the next 5 weekends. That's a challenge. That's a whole nother grind for a team to play on the road for 5 weekends straight. So, but we're ready. I think they're road warriors, and you know, they're very excited to play right now.
So last year was the team's best season since 2018. How do you translate last year's success into a winning season this year?
Building off how we finished, I think is exactly how we want to run into this season. Is just we had a lot of momentum at the end of the season last year, and this team finally started to realize they were better than what it looked like on paper. You know, I guess every coach has a different philosophy, but since I've been here, it's like, if you want to be the best, you got to play the best. And there's a lot of people that looked at me like, you're really going to play this tough of a schedule? But I mean, if you want to be good, you got to play the best, right? That's the only way you're ever going to get better. So I know that our record and my personal record doesn't indicate, I think, at all as to where this team is. But the Big 12 conference is for real. And if you're going to play, you know, the defending national champion over and over and over, you want to be able to compete with them. And one of these days, you want to be able to beat them. So you have to go out and play a really, really tough schedule, so you prepare yourself mentally and physically for those games. And, you know, and it was, to be real honest, after last season, what I did appreciate the most is, you know, Patty Gasso, OU, telling me, like, you guys were probably the toughest team we competed against in conference. And I think that said a lot. I mean, yeah, we didn't get the W's, and maybe the score was pretty lopsided at times, but at the end of the day, when we're competing against those teams like that, we're getting better.
Anything else? All right, thanks, Coach.